The modern world has been designed in such a way to keep you in this trap. As soon as you're born, you're put in this trap that the modern world has created for you. And this trap is designed to make you fail. Now, basically, what I mean by this is you're set up from birth to fail. The way modern people live their lives, they're set up to fail. They're set up in this trap. And they're not set up to live a life of freedom. If you just think about that for a second, you're raised from birth to go to school. After school, you go into secondary school, sixth form, A-levels, uni. That's the way modern people live their lives. That's what we're taught to do. You're taught to just get educated, stay in school, go to university to study a degree, then get a job. Then once you have the job, what are you taught to do? You're just taught to work up the ladder, right? Work up the ladder in the job or the industry. And that can take 10, 20, 30 years to get to the highest position. And let's say you start working when you're 20, right? And you have to work for 20, 30 years. So you're about 45 and you've been working in the same industry for 25 years. And you're finally at the top of the position. But you're making a good amount of money, but you have no time freedom and you have no location freedom. You have to be there at work at a certain time every day. You have to come in late because your boss tells you to. You're not allowed to go on holiday because your boss said you can't. You can't see your family because your boss said you can't. You work for all that time for a company just for someone else to tell you what to do. And you retire when you're about, 50, 60, 45, like I said, if you're lucky. That's the first thing we're all taught to go down the path of as young adults. That's the one thing we're all taught, that's the general thing we're all taught. That's one thing we all have in common. We're all taught to just go to uni, pick a degree, study, get a job and work. So that's one trap. Another thing the modern world has designed for humans to consume is cheap dopamine. Cheap dopamine is social media, junk food, gaming, pornography, movies, TV series. All of those things are cheap dopamine. And that's the way bad habits are formed, through cheap dopamine. People are encouraged to consume vegetable oils, fast food, cereals, biscuits, fucking chocolate, crisps, all this shit is so easily available to us. It's so accessible, you can just go and buy it. And people might be watching this thinking, yeah, why wouldn't it be? But all of these things are so unbelievably bad for you. But the world has created it, the world has given it to you. The way society is nowadays is that all of these things are so accessible because they keep you in the loop and they keep you in the trap. And that's how bad habits are formed. The way the modern world has been designed to just raise you to just do a job, and then you get bored with your job, so what do? You go on social media and you get a dopamine release. Then what do? You start eating junk food. Then what do? You start gaming. Then what do? You start watching movies, TV series. And then you just repeat it the next day because you're getting that dopamine release in your brain. And you just do it every day, day and day and day and day, every single day, and it keeps you in this trap. And you don't realise it until someone actually explains it to you and helps you realise that it's wrong. And that's just the way the world has been created, and that's the way bad habits are formed. Like you're literally taught to do these bad habits from young because no one stops you. No one tells you they're bad. Your parents might tell you the junk food's bad, this and that, but as you get older, they don't give a fuck if you eat junk food, let's be honest. Like, your parents couldn't give a shit if you ordered Domino's today, would they? Because everyone thinks it's normal. Like, I'm not criticizing anybody. Everyone thinks it's normal, but it's not. And it is not the way we should. It's not the way humans should be living. Cheap dopamine is the worst thing for humans. Cheap dopamine is what creates bad habits. But I can't blame you guys for having these bad habits because that's just the way society is nowadays. That's how the world has been designed. That's how the world has been created. You're surrounded by it. When you go to the supermarket, you see cereals, you see all these kind of breads, all these kind of vegetable oils, seed oils. When you walk out your house, you're surrounded by fast food shops, alcohol, cigarettes, people vaping, everything. Drugs, weed, literally everything. You're surrounded by it. Like, it's so hard to ignore it. Gaming, movies, TV shows, all of these things, social media, literally one click on your phone and on social media. That's how easy it is. And every single one of these things releases dopamine in your brain. And when that dopamine gets released, you feel like you need to carry on. And that's how habits are formed. But like I said, I can't blame anybody for this because it's the way the world's been designed. It's the way the world's been created. And I was exactly the same. My life was consumed by every single one of these bad habits. The only good thing I did was go to the gym. That was literally it. Even when I was in the gym, I'd be scrolling on social media, fucking like this, lifting my weight. Oh, got my phone. And it's like, when I see people doing that now, I'm just like, damn, I must have been a fucking retard. Man. But it's crazy that the world has been designed this way. And yeah, like I said, my life was consumed by every single one of these habits. And yours probably is too. Right? I used to game, I used to watch movies, TV shows every single day. I used to smoke weed, I used to drink, I used to party, I used to eat junk food at least 3, 4, maybe even 5 times a week. Like, I used to do it all, just like you guys did, or do. And it was controlling my life in a way where I wasn't able to do what I actually wanted to do. I didn't even think about what I wanted to do. It wasn't until I was about 18, 19 where I realised that, like, I was put in this trap and people don't realise it. And my life was filled with these bad habits. And until I was able to overcome them, until I was able to stop all of them and start the good habits and start turning my life around, it wasn't until that point where I saw another path, another direction I could go in. When I was younger, all I thought was, okay, I need to make money, so I'm just gonna carry on going to the gym. I'm gonna work in this, so I'm studying finance at uni. I'm just gonna do a finance job and then work there for like 30 years to try and level up, and then get rich, and that's it. And now I look back on that, and I'm so glad that I was able to realise that that is not the way you should live your life. Like, by all means, if you have a passion for whatever you're studying or whatever you're doing right now, if you have a passion for it, do it, because you should always follow your passion. But that was not my passion. That was just the way society had tricked me into going down that route. But yeah, I'm going completely off topic. What I'm trying to say is society is designed to keep you in this trap, to make you pursue these bad habits, to make you pursue all this cheap dopamine. And you need to like now understand that you cannot do these things. Like you need to fucking stop this shit. Because if you don't, you will be kept in that cycle and you will be kept in that trap for the rest of your life. And I'm sure each and every single one of you watching this video does not want to live your life that way. In a trap where you're just told to do something and you do it. And I can't blame you for having these bad habits. I was exactly the same. But I can blame you if you don't want to change. But hopefully, every single one of you watching this video wants to change. So there are 3 ways to actually overcome these bad habits, overcome these challenges that society has fucking put in front of you since you were born. And the way you overcome it, the first way is you have to actually want to change. So like I just said, if you don't want to change, there's no point. You have to actually want to change. You have to actually want to be better. You have to actually want to understand that there is another path you can take to become better than everybody else. Like there's another path you can choose that isn't the normal route that everybody takes. Right? You don't have to feed into the bullshit society has told you. You don't have to eat this processed bullshit. You don't have to consume all this cheap dopamine like TV shows, fucking movies, fucking porn, like junk food. You don't have to consume any of that, and you shouldn't. You can become better. And once you actually want to change and understand where you want to go, you already have that mental reframe for you to build the good habits and forget the bad habits and build the discipline and turn your life around. And for me, I didn't even realize that someone had to actually tell me what I was doing was wrong. Like I was watching a YouTube video from Iman Gadji, you guys might know him. And in his event, he was the one that explained to me that I was in the trap and I needed to turn my life around for better, for good. Until once you actually realize you deeply want to change and you deeply want to become the best version of yourself and a better person. The second thing you do is you start taking small steps away from these habits you've built. Whether it's your phone, TV shows, gaming, anything, junk food, like whatever it is. I don't know what your bad habits are, you know what they are. You need to figure out what your worst habits are, like your bad habits, just even if it's smoking, drinking, it can be anything, right? All you guys are in the same boat. You need to take small steps away from it. Now, what do I mean by that? All I mean by that is just by cutting it down slowly and slowly, over time, just cutting it down slower and slower and slower. Because when I started, the mistake I made was like, yeah, so I always use this analogy, right? It's like going into the gym and trying to bench 100 kilos on your first day. Like, you're not going to do that. After building up habits for so many weeks, months, and years, it just gets harder and harder to break them. But it's not impossible. It just takes time and consistency. And so, like, I would try and stop going on social media for good. Like, so I'd try and just stop forever. Which is like ambitious, it's good of me, but it never works that way, because after building up a habit for that long, you are gonna relapse and you are gonna give in. And that's what you have to realize. Like when I would do that, I would feel so bad about myself. I would like tell myself I'm this, I'm that, like I'm weak. And that's not the way you should look at it. I realized I was doing it wrong. When you relapse and you give in to the habit again, it's okay. Like you're gonna fail at some point. You just have to look at it as an opportunity to do better. Look at it as an opportunity to become better and the chance to do better again. And look at the progress you've made. And I've helped one of my friends do this, right? So let's say, I don't actually want to say like what his issue was, but let's say he had a problem gaming. Let's say he was gaming every day for like 8 hours. All you have to do is just cut it down by an hour. So if you're gaming for 8 hours, if you have a complete addiction to gaming, right, and you play like 8 hours a day, the next day cut it down to 7, the next day cut it down to 6, the next day cut it down to 5, the next day cut it down to 4, and then The next day you'll probably accidentally play 7 hours again, and it's okay. Like, it's okay because you made progress in that time frame. You did better in that time frame. Like, you did a lot better, and within 4 days you cut it down by 3 hours, which is a fucking lot of progress. So you should be proud of yourself for that. And then you are, like I said, you are going to relapse, you are going to fail at some point, but it's okay because you look at it as an opportunity to do better. And then you cut it down again, 3 hours, 2 hours, 1 hour. Then you go a whole day without gaming. And then you start doing little things like you don't buy any new games and you don't renew your PSN. So there's less for you to actually do when you're playing. And then it becomes easier. And then you only play for like 2 hours a day. And then you only play every now and then eventually it stops. So it's those little things. When it comes to overcoming bad habits, you just cut it down slowly and you make it easier to be able to stop. One big key point I would say is environment. So if you're, like I said, if you're a gamer and your boys are inviting you around to play FIFA or some shit like that, just say no. Just stop it. And that's just one example. It could be anything. Like it just could be anything. Like, your environment is what attracts you to do the habits. So whatever you're around is what you're going to be more likely to do. So with the bad habits, cut it down slowly, make it easier to stop. And if you have to, look around your environment and try and make it easier to cut it down. And I promise you, if you do those things, you will stop it. Like, you will stop the habit. I promise you, because I did the exact same thing, and I've managed to overcome every single bad habit I had. And so the third and final way to overcome your bad habits is to actually start moving towards the good things. So as you start moving away from the bad habits, start moving closer to the good habits. And when I first started, I didn't really understand what good habits meant. And as I looked into it more, I realized good habits are literally just fitness. Okay, I'll put it this way. Good habits are literally anything that improve your emotional well-being, your mental health, your physical health, and anything that will move you closer towards whatever your goal is. Anything that will move you to whatever your goal is in life, that's a good habit, and that's what you need to do. I don't know what your goal is. You need to figure out what that is first, and then you need to start realizing what you need to do to get to that goal. But some common ones that apply to anybody universally are fitness, journaling, reading, meditating. Fitness, that's it. I think I just said fitness. Diet, just stuff like that. And so when you start moving away from the bad habits and start moving closer to the good habits, you can just fuck this shit off and get to the good habits and achieve every goal you set yourself. But yeah, those are the 3 ways to overcome them. Remember, first, want to change. Second, slowly move away from the bad habits. And third, slowly move towards the good habits. And as you start doing the better things and moving away from the bad things, I promise you, you will change your life for good. And you will transform into such a better version of yourself. In fact, you'll go down this route of a continuing process of just becoming better. And what is actually better than that? Like, what is actually better than that when you think about it? What is better than becoming the best version of yourself? Like, what's better than that? Literally fucking nothing. Like, what could possibly be better than that? And you can start that right fucking now. You can start that this second. You watching, you can start that right now. So yeah, those are my 3 takeaways. And I promise you, if you just implement what I've said, you will change your life for good. And you will become the best version of yourself. Stay disciplined.